Hello and welcome to another vlog on today's channel. So, for a while now, I've always asked myself this question: what of if there is no heaven? What of if many of the values you've upheld were not necessary? What will you do? So, I don't know how many Christians have taught the way I have taught, and if for some people it has been the reason why they considered being a Christian. But for me, this is how I decided to answer this question. And whenever this question comes up in my mind, I always look at what values am I upholding, and let me look at them at what value are they giving. And I realized that when I decided to, I just decided to do this. I was like, okay, aside from being a Christian, when I look at these values, how helpful are they to being a human? How helpful are they to another person? How helpful are they to the world? Yes, I know there are so many theories, philosophies, and I have also experienced a lot of unpleasant experiences that have made me feel like sometimes doing the right thing may not always pay off. But then I realized that if everybody considered each other, if everybody did things in a way that they don't hurt other people, I think the world that we are looking for will be achieved faster. But as we know, people aren't doing that, and that's why the world is currently suffering. So I looked at my values and I was like, morally, generally, these values are accepted as the right thing to do. Also, I realized that these values also make me feel peaceful. What does that mean? I'm not doing things that are putting me in a place of jeopardy where I have to be in constant worry or concern that somebody is going to be hurt by my actions because I know that they are right. Now, if somebody chooses to be hurt, it's either because they don't agree with that value because it doesn't suit their value system, not because the value in itself is wrong. Now I realized there was a certain experience I had a long time ago, and in conversation with the person involved, I was like, did I do anything wrong? Is what I'm doing wrong? And the person, funny enough, answered me. I was like, no, didn't do anything wrong. There's no just reason why I'm treating you this way. And I think that clicks something in my mind. Sometimes many people may not agree with you, not because what you are doing is wrong, but just because what you are doing makes them uncomfortable. And those are two things differently. Then I also observed these value systems that I uphold, have they kept me safe apparently? And I was like, yes. Have they put me in a better side of health? I was like, yes. And some of them I reviewed them. I was like, okay, medically, I'm a doctor myself. And I was like, medically, scientifically, some of these value systems are healthy. Now, when I put the Christian aspect, at the end of the day, everything I'm doing is to the glory of God. And that's what qualifies everything. And that's what also now adds more content for me, that this glorifies God. Then also, I realized that when you consider your other person and you consider your actions, many of the times the reason why certain values that people uphold are because it is only aimed at themselves. So it's only aimed to gratify, to make them only comfortable. So many of these things may not put into other people consideration, and even not just people around them in consideration, people that they come later on. And I was like, if this value system, this value that I'm holding on to, considers other people, puts into question the effect it will have on other people, then I think it's actually a good value system to hold on to. And so when I looked at it in that way, I realized that the Christian values that I hold are very wholesome. They are very healthy, both mentally, both physically, and both spiritually at the same time. Now, looking at the Bible scripturally, in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, Paul, that's a very long chapter though, and Paul was talking about death, talking about, he expressed this question. I said, it was like, assuming if there is no resurrection, it would be like, why did you go through all this suffering? And then he ended that particular verse, I think from verse 14 to 18. I put the verses up here. He was saying that we will be of all men miserable if Christ is raised up from the dead. And I also want to add to say that for every Christian that sincerely seeks the Lord and develops a relationship with God, there is a peace, there's an assurance, there's a confidence that is in your heart that at the end of the day, everything you are doing is not for waste. I know I've come across a lot of theory, like theory, like mindset, where people say things, um, people talk about boundaries. I have actually talked about boundaries on this place, and the Bible is not against boundaries. When people talk about being too good and not letting people trample on you, I also have my own perspective on that. But at the same time, every other philosophy or every other theory, whatever it is that I will choose to imbibe, I always filter it through the Word of God. I always look at it through the lens of the Word of God, because at the end of the day, since I have decided to uphold Christian values, whatever I do will reflect of what the Word of God says. And at the end of the day, what makes that value Christian is because it actually, at the end of the day, expresses who Christ is. Sometimes, even if it makes other people uncomfortable. Now, when I say uncomfortable, it doesn't mean intentionally want to make people uncomfortable. But the truth is this: once you are living a life that is right, it will trigger the people who don't want it to be. So, that is something that cannot be avoided. But then, whatever it is that you are holding as a value system, when you look inwardly, does it really resonate with your heart? Does it set your heart in peace? For me, my Christian values have always been a strong anchor for me, and it has defined my life and how I look at things and how I look at the world. And it has also helped me to realize that a lot of things that God encourages me to do, instructs me to do, inspires me to do, at the end of the day, builds me up. So there's always a building, and for me, that's why the values I hold will continue to remain a very strong part of my life. So am I worried about heaven? No. But at the end of the day, this is a question that has rang my mind a number of times. When I'm faced with a situation, I'm like, okay, if you're not a Christian, would you have had a second thought? But yes, I'm a Christian, and I would always be a Christian by His grace. So, with that being said, if this blog blessed you, kindly share it to someone. Share your comments down below. I'll be here to respond to them as much as I can. And until next time on this channel, continue to stay safe and God bless. Bye.